high gatherings at shopping malls raise concerns. Second round of AstraZeneca jab registration opens from 23rd May. Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Shuhaida Arifin. The Health Ministry expresses their concerns over the trend of people celebrating Hari Raya Aidilfitri at shopping complexes recently. According to its Minister, Datuk Seri Dr. Adham Baba, there are people who partake in this activity with the intention of meeting their family or relatives. He said this may exacerbate the spread of COVID-19 infections.
Kita menjangkakan bahawa spike yang kita ada pada hari ini ialah kesan daripada mobilisasi 2 minggu lepas, iaitu kluster yang muncul di pusat-pusat keagamaan seperti surau dan masjid, dan juga di tempat-tempat tumpuan di mana kluster boleh dicetuskan. Dan untuk itu kita mempunyai kebimbangan yang tinggi sekiranya pada hari raya yang berlaku pada 13, 14 dan 15 hari bulan yang lepas, sekiranya berlaku pertemuan keluarga di mall ataupun di shopping center di negara kita, dia boleh juga memperlihatkan sama ada kes akan bertambah atau tidak.
Speaking during a virtual joint press conference with the National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme, Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin on the development of the vaccination exercise on the country today, he said the MOH has braced for the possibilities by increasing preparedness and treatment capabilities at hospitals nationwide. This includes vaccination programs, saliva sampling to detect infections at public hospitals and university hospitals. Furthermore, field hospitals have also been erected in places such as Sarawak, Kelantan and Pulau Pinang. Meanwhile, the MOH is considering to implement a full-scale movement control order MCO in Selangor if COVID-19 infections in the state cannot be contained. Datuk Seri Dr. Adham said tighter standard operating procedures SOP must be imposed to curb the spread of the virus in Selangor.
Walaupun saya setuju bahawa kita perlu cadangkan kepada kerajaan supaya lebih ketat SOP dan juga MCO, sekiranya melihatkan kepada ketidakupayaan mengekang, maka cadangan untuk kita melaksanakan full MCO adalah satu perkara yang boleh dipertimbangkan.
The second phase of the AstraZeneca vaccine shot registrations will be open from 23rd to 26 May. However, according to the National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme PICK Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin, priority will be given to the elderly citizens aged 60 years or older for the residents in the Klang Valley, Johor, Sarawak and Pulau Pinang. He explained that the privilege given to the elderly is under the basis that they are part of the group that are more vulnerable and require protection, as well as expediting the second phase of vaccinations.
Sekiranya pada 26 hari bulan Mei masih lagi terdapat janji temu yang tidak diisi dalam pusingan kedua AstraZeneca, kita akan buka kepada golongan orang ramai yang bawah usia 60 tahun. Tetapi daripada 23 hingga 26 Mei, ia hanya layak untuk mendapatkan janji temu dalam laman web kita adalah warga emas sahaja. Cuma pengecualian yang kita bagi kepada AstraZeneca pusingan kedua ini adalah bagi mereka yang sudah waitlisted dalam pusingan yang pertama. Mereka akan diberi appointment.
The minister added that registrations can be done at the website as well as community health clinics. Meanwhile, Khairi explained that the Pfizer-BioNTech jabs are the only vaccine suitable to be administered to nursing mothers or women who are in their 14th to 33rd week of pregnancy.
Hanya Pfizer sahaja. Ia adalah sesuai untuk ibu mengandung antara 14 hingga 33 minggu atau disyorkan untuk ditangguhkan vaksinasi kepada tempoh selepas kehamilan. Sementara bagi ibu menyusu pun adalah sesuai untuk diberikan vaksinasi. Jadi saya telah minta CITF untuk koordinat dengan hospital-hospital dan pakar doktor ibu dan kanak-kanak supaya kita dapat memberi keutamaan kepada ibu yang mengandung diberikan Pfizer vaksin pada tempoh kandungan antara 14 hingga 33 minggu.
In another related development, the government has allowed the Pharma Niaga factory to become the industrial vaccination centre for the country. This was announced after the decision was approved by the CITF. The plan will begin with the Pharma Niaga plant administering the vaccine to its factory workers, which are in turn working to bottle Sinovac vaccines. A man used the excuse of wanting to buy cigarettes in an attempt to break out of a COVID-19 quarantine and treatment centre (PKRC) in Kota Baru last week. The man's actions were found out by officers in the PKRC when the 30-year-old man tried to escape through the staff passage. According to the Kelantan PKRC Director Dr. Muhammad Azman Yaakob, the man was admitted into the centre a day before he attempted to escape. However, when questioned, the man insisted that he was not trying to escape but instead wanted to go out to buy cigarettes.
Selepas daripada insiden tu, kami setiap masa ketua operasi akan membacakan akta lah kepada semua pesakit-pesakit yang berada di PKRC supaya mereka tu tahu dan faham bahawa mereka ni berada di sini dan di bawah kawalan akta 342 dan jangan buat perkara-perkara yang luar biasa lah.
Dr. Muhammad Azman said all 10 PKRCs were installed with closed-circuit television cameras (CCTV) to monitor the movements of the patients. The case was the first of its kind since the PKRCs began operating. Malaysia has reiterated its disappointment over the United Nations Security Council's UNSC inability to come up with a solution to halt Israel's violence against Palestinians. According to Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein, even after the third session of the UNSC this week and yet not a single statement has been released on the current situation in Palestine. Elaborating further, Datuk Seri Hishamuddin said Malaysia, in line with a joint call with Brunei and Indonesia, also urged the General Assembly to convene a special session to immediately end the atrocities. He added that the UN must force Israel to comply with all obligations by international law as well as the UN Charter. Speaking during the UNSC Open Video Teleconference (VTC) debate on the situation in West Asia, he said Malaysia had urged the UNSC to exercise its primary responsibility of maintaining peace and security in the region. Malaysia also wants UNSC to make full use of available tools to avoid an escalation of violence and to prevent further loss of life in Palestine. Datuk Seri Hishamuddin said Malaysia will never recognise any blatant seizures of Palestinian land by Israel for their illegal settlements. Malaysia is ready to send a peacekeeping team to Gaza, although it is subject to the green light from the United Nations UN. Defence Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said Malaysia cannot make a decision to send a peacekeeping team to West Asia on its own as it involves international laws.
Jadi kalau bangsa bersatu meminta negara-negara seperti Malaysia untuk menghantar tentera di bawah panji-panji bangsa bersatu sebagai pengaman di bawah program pengaman bangsa bersatu, insya-Allah ya. Tetapi ianya mesti ditentukan oleh bangsa bersatu ya. Tidak boleh Malaysia membuat keputusan unilateral untuk hantar, tetapi mesti di bawah jemputan daripada bangsa bersatu.
Malaysia, as a member of the United Nations, had previously sent peacekeeping missions to various countries in conflict, including to Lebanon, Sudan, Sierra Leone and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The cybersecurity and defence aspects of the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM are constantly monitored to counter any threat that could disrupt the defence communication network. Its Chief General Tan Sri Effendi Buang said appropriate measures must be implemented by system administrators to address any possible cyber attacks from foreign elements. ATM always monitors and fortifies its cybersecurity defences from time to time through its Cyber and Electromagnetic Division (BSEP) and the Cyber Defence Operations Centre (CDOC). He added that BSEP and CDOC not only serve to strengthen the ATM's monitoring and defence communications network, but also protect the country's strategic defence communications network. Tan Sri Effendi explained that instructions issued by CDOC as well as precautionary measures taken that went viral on social media recently were normal practice as a reminder. Yesterday, an internal directive by ATM of the need to enhance the country's cyber defense went viral on social media following a cyber attack threat from Israel. Unity is the key for the Muslim Ummah to rise and come together to stop the atrocity of the Israel regime on Palestinians. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department in charge of religious affairs, Dato Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Al-Bakri said the liberation of the Palestinian people from the heinous crimes of the Zionist regime is the responsibility of the Muslim Ummah all over the world.
Kenapa kita kalah? Sebab kita lari daripada manhajillah. Kenapa kita menang? Kerana kita mengikut. Apabila umat Islam mula mengikut, maka mereka ini sebagaimana Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala menyatakan wal yadkhulul masjida kama dakhaluhu awwal marrah. Syarat nak masuk mesti kena perangai Nabi. Mesti kena akhlak Nabi. Mesti kena manhaj Nabi. Inilah yang dinyatakannya. Jadi daripada situ kita faham bahawa isu seperti ini tidak akan selesai kalau kita sekadar hanyalah berpolemik dan umat Islam masih lagi tidak bersatu.
In his speech during a virtual forum titled Wake Up for Aqsa on Yayasan Dakwah Islamiyah Malaysia, Yadim's Facebook page, the minister said only through solidarity can the Muslim Ummah triumph against adversity, and this is especially so when it comes to the struggles of the Palestinian people. He called on Muslims all over the world to come together and find a solution to stop the inhuman treatment of the Zionist regime on Palestinians once and for all. There has been no such misappropriation of funds collected for the people of Palestine, which went viral in the social media. A representative of Palestine, Sheikh Ahmad Abu Aish Al-Najjar, said the baseless accusation was one of the strategies of irresponsible people to confuse the people, especially contributors to the fund.
Now the Zionist entity, the Israeli occupation and our enemies who are killing us day and night, tried their best to stop the support which is coming from the Muslim world all over the world, including Malaysia, but they failed. So they started to do a very cunning thing, a very cunning scheme and strategy. They started to question the credibility of the people who are receiving this money, either Malaysian charities or Palestinian charities. Now they are saying that the money donated by our noble and generous brothers and sisters in Malaysia, whom we are very, very grateful and thankful for all the support that they have given.
According to Sheikh Ahmad Abu Aish, it is imperative to continue supporting the struggles of the Palestinian people and the liberation of Al-Quds. Those who wish to contribute to any fund meant for the people of Palestine are encouraged to continue doing so, as the contribution to Palestine has been very important in strengthening and uplifting Palestinians' spirits. Coming up next, 2 million youths to receive 150 ringgit e-wallet credit from June. The Ministry of Finance invites approximately 2 million eligible Malaysian youth and full-time students to claim 150 ringgit of e-wallet credit under the e-Belia program. In a statement today, the ministry said the program aimed to help relieve financial burden as well as promoting cashless transactions among Malaysian youths and full-time students. The claim period for the e-Belia credit is from 1st June to 22nd July, and the credit can be spent until 31st July 2021. The initiative is open to Malaysian citizens aged between 18 and 20 and full-time students enrolled in courses equivalent to a diploma or SKM4 and above. Eligible recipients are encouraged to update their e-wallet accounts or download the e-wallet apps beforehand. Eligible youth data will be cross-checked with registered institutions of higher learning and other relevant government databases. Under Budget 2021, a total of 200 million ringgit was allocated, which was further enhanced with an additional 100 million ringgit by the government, bringing the total allocation for e-Belia program to 300 million ringgit. Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad will continue its enhanced targeted repayment assistance (ETRA) for customers adversely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The bank said the measure is in line with Bank Negara Malaysia's BNM calls for banking and financial institutions to assist borrowers based on their specific financial circumstances following the reimposition of the MCO nationwide. In a statement, its Chief Executive Officer, Muhammad Muazzam Muhammad, said, in accordance with the bank's existing TRA response offered on a case-to-case basis, the bank will continue to offer affected customers on the existing moratorium an additional 3-month extension to defer their financing or a 6-month extension on a reduced installment payment schedule. Bank Islam also assured the assistance remains available, including to customers across various income groups, micro businesses, and customers affected by the recent MCO. In support of the statements from BNM and Association of Islamic Banking and Financial Institutions Malaysia last Wednesday, Bank Islam urged customers previously on other forms of targeted repayment assistance and seeking further financial assistance to contact the nearest branch. A clerk lost more than 255,000 ringgit after she claimed to have been deceived into winning a contest organised by a popular food company. Kedah Commercial Crime Investigation Department Chief Superintendent Elias Omar said the 25-year-old woman had received a message through the WhatsApp application on 17 April informing her that she had won 3,300 ringgit in the contest. Superintendent Elias said the woman was then asked to deposit money to make up the value of the cheque provided by the so-called food company. The victim, who did not make any check on the authenticity of the message, then made 52 money transfers into 8 different bank accounts, totaling 255,250 ringgit. Meanwhile, Superintendent Elias urged the public to check the authenticity of any information received by downloading the Check Scammers CCID application to avoid falling victim to scams. The public can also obtain the latest information and commercial crime modus operandi from the Facebook pages shown at the bottom of your screen. A technician was crushed to death by a steel gas pipe weighing about 8 tons in Kemaman, Terengganu at 9 this morning. The victim, Ahmad Shahir Hasaudin, 29, was working on painting a gas pipe at a pipe fabrication workshop in Teluk Kalung Industrial Area in Kemaman when the incident happened. According to Kemaman Police Chief Superintendent Hanyan Ramlan, after finishing his jobs, the victim placed the steel pipe on a shelf, but it slipped down from the shelf and hit him on the head before crushing him to death. Upon realizing the mishap, his co-workers immediately called the fire rescue department for help. The rescue team had to use a forklift to lift and move the pipe away before finally extricating the victim's body. The victim's body has been sent to the Kemaman Hospital for post-mortem, and police have classified the case as sudden death. With that, we conclude today's news at 10. In our top story, risky riot gatherings at shopping malls raise concerns. Join us again for more updates tomorrow. Before we go, we wish for every Malaysian to keep our Palestinian brothers and sisters in your mind and pray for the attacks on Baitul Maqdis to cease. I'm Syuhada Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM.